Okay.
And we're recording. Well, welcome everyone. Great to see you all. The weather looks like it's really great where all you guys are, and it's pretty great where I am right now. So it's funny that the temperature here in Florida is about the same as it is there in Needham. So,
Wow.
yeah. Which is a good thing for Florida, because otherwise it'd be like intensely hot. But let's start this off. Good afternoon, everyone. This open meeting of the Revitalization Trust Fund Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order, March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of the public are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded, so the public can follow along with the deliberations of the committee. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. For this meeting, we are convening by Zoom, as posted the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All right. So why don't we kick this off, and we will start with the agenda items. Number one, an update on the Jersey Barrier project. Well, actually, one of the projects, Tova from Gorse Mills, has been directly involved, I guess, in both of these. And actually, Amy probably even knows more update in terms of the second project. But there's one of them that, as last I had checked, has been completed now for one of the paintings. Amy, do you have a update?
Sure. So the Jersey barriers in front of Sweet Basil have been completed. Tova did lead the organization of the local artists from Gorse Mills to paint, and the end result, if you haven't seen it, please make a point to drive or walk down Great Plain Avenue. It looks really terrific. And next up is Pancho's Taqueria on Highland Avenue, which should be done in the next couple of weeks.
That's great. And
So,
you know, when I had left, I didn't think I saw all the Jersey barriers up in. Are all the barriers up in front of Sweet Basil? I mean, Pancho's?
they are.
Okay, great.
So thank you again for all of your support to help fund the stipends for the artists to do the Sweet Basil project. It was really terrific. So thank you.
Yeah, well, we were psyched to be able to be a part of it, and I know that I just had a communication with Rebecca Young, not Rebecca Young, with Charlie about being able to get the funds moved to them to be able to pay for this, and I said that they just need to be able to send me either the invoice or whatever I need to be able to submit, so that the money we've collected to be able to support the program with our $500 donation will go to wherever it needs to be directed. So hopefully I'll hear back in the next couple of days, and it was CC'd to Michelle Valancourt. So between the three of us, we should be able to coordinate to get the money in the right place and make sure that the artists get paid. So, and thank you so much for all the members of the committee who contributed to be able to make this possible. And of course, great thanks to the NCAC for the grant to the Revitalization Trust Fund that allowed us to be able to participate in this program. So it's all good. Can't wait to see the ones at Ponchos.
I just had a question about is the front one, there's two berries in front of French press, is that also part of it? Part of the
French press
project?
actually, Jay,
Or is that separate?
yeah, has done, and he actually has he has his own in-house artist so he could just basically tap him to be able to do the project for the outside of there.
That's correct. And Sherwin-Williams generously donated all of the paint and the supplies. So even though French Press had their own artist do it, they were able to take advantage of the nice donation from Sherwin-Williams to the town, which were also used for sweet basils and will be used for ponchos as well, which it totals about $1,500 worth of in-kind donation.
Yeah, which was terrific. And they stepped up very early in the project, as I recall, too. So, great thanks to Sherwin-Williams for being able to make that possible. So, it's just another example of when, people get together and get focused on being able to make something happen that through a variety of different people offering the resources that we can make a lot of cool stuff happen. So it's good. It's all good. Next is the update on the design review approval. And two things. I'd sent out a note to the committee just to give you an update when we were approved at the design review board a couple of weeks ago. Number one is that they both really liked the new designs. That they felt that the template that we have for it now will be a real asset in terms of they basically wanted to be able to understand what the template was going to be and approve that template. And they liked it so much, they said basically, if with the template in place, that we don't have to go back to them each time to be able to approve the individual designs. So, we'll basically take the overlays of the new people as we get them, create a new profile, and certainly with the help of some of the info that Kate is helping pull together for us, and we'll continue to get some basically into the pipeline so that we can be actively soliciting additional sponsorships to be able to keep them rolling out. And that will actually ultimately allow us to be able to set what the frequency would be. And we would probably, if we had, in an ideal circumstance, if we had the ability to be able to change it quarterly, that that would be great. But we planned on every 6 months, and we'll just play it as we see the donations and get it from there. The other thing is that I'll be reaching out to a sponsor that I believe will help us be able to get this project installed over the next probably 6 weeks or 8 weeks. As soon as I have that nailed, I will report back to the committee on it, and then from there, that sponsorship would include getting at least the first one included in that sponsorship. The second is that Seymour Levy, for the services that he provided for the Bob Larson profile, he was doing it just because Bob has been a long-term friend of his, and he wanted to be able to donate his services for that particular profile as his contribution. And so he'll be billing us for the work of the Sunita Williams one, which is not completed yet, but we're close. The design is there, and one of the things that we need to do is we've been pulling in the high resolution image versions to be able to get them so that when we blow it up, that it'll keep the, you know, the sharpness and detail that we need for the project. And I had emailed Kate with a couple of them that we found through sources with Seymour that he had tracked down. And Kate is going to try to, and she'll give us an update just in a second as to where we're at with it. But we have some pictures like the one of Sunita graduating from Needham High School.
Mhm.
The other one was a one with the Needham police that shows a picture with her. And I think there was one more. But Kate, do you want to just speak to what you got and where you're at?
So I had sent, you probably haven't gotten a chance to look, Paul, but I sent you an email yesterday. So both of the images that you shared that you like high res files for, so they're both from the Metro West Daily article about the dedication ceremony for the school. So I had linked to the Metro West Dailies. So there was a link to purchase the photos from the staff photography. The problem was and I don't know if it's a problem on their end or mine, although I tried several times, I was not getting all of the images to link. So I know that the photo that you'd like to include of Sunita in sort of like a blue top and the police are behind her. I know that's from the dedication ceremony, and there are photos of that same photo, but a slightly different angle. I just couldn't see on all so the Metro West website has buy this photo, but not all of those photos were loading. So I couldn't then click on the exact one that we wanted to know how to purchase it and get that process going. But I sent you that website. So hopefully maybe you have better luck loading it, but in any event, that's that. And then the picture, so it's actually a photo from her 6th grade class, Mrs. DiNapoli's class. It's not high school graduation. And that also was included in the dedication ceremony story from the Metro West Daily. It's a courtesy photo, which makes me think it's either from Sunita herself or Angela DiNapoli. Although Mrs. DiNapoli was not interviewed for that story, so I suspect it was from Sunita. But in any event, since it was a courtesy photo, I'm not sure that we'll be able to get anything in high resolution.
One of the things I can do is I was talking to members, and they had suggested that if we needed to be able to reach out to her family directly, that they might have some contacts that we could do that with. So I'll follow up with them, get get whatever we can, and see if they have if they have original photo.
Yeah,
we can
exactly.
And get the resolution that we think we need.
Right. Yep.
I mean, it's not going to look like a brand new picture because
it's dated. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like, that's okay. It's, we just don't want it so pixelated that you can't see it.
Yep.
So that's great. All right. So I will look for that email.
And if it got stuck just let me know. I can resend it. I'll send it again right now so that it's top of your inbox.
That's great. That's great. And thank you. I know I know the month of May has been like really, really busy for you. So being able to take the time to be able to get this, pulled together has been fantastic.
No problem.
Yeah. There was one other person that I'll come back to it because I've got it in my notes, but there's another person who is another suggestion to be able to be on our list of potential people. So if I can't pull it up right here during the meeting, I will definitely send it to you in an email to get that done. But I'm sure I was asked the question by one of the design review board members. They said, so so how does a person like get on the list of, you know, and I knew this is coming, right? So I said, well, you know, we have a member of the committee who is, you know, basically pulling together both, you know, historic figures and some current ones, and we're trying to get a mix of the two. And they said, oh, well, okay. So, you know, I think as we go forward, once this launches, I'm guarantee you that we're going to start to get inquiries about, you know, suggestions as to who we should
That's good. Yeah.
feature. But, you know, that's part of the fun of the whole thing. So. All righty. Great. Any other comments or things that from the committee that relevant to this? No, it's unanimous. Let's see. I mentioned about the sponsorship and the installation target, which is basically going to try to see if we can do this as long as the materials are able to show up for it. For in the next between probably June and July, maybe by the end of July as our outside target date. Hopefully, that would be great. You know, with the materials being harder to to acquire. Hopefully that won't create too much of a delay in terms of physically getting the framework to us. But once we have a go, and I'm expecting that I can be able to be back in touch with them sometime during next week. And I had a communication with them last week the status of that. I'll find out. Once we know that we have the donation in place, then we will go full ahead and being able to get things to do. So that's great. Let's see. I had down here, about an update on the Needham Heights new bench, and I've got a call into Karis, who is the superintendent of the highway department, and she was checking with her people to be able to help coordinate being able to have a physical revisit to the site, that we would go out there to be able to make sure that the placement that we had tentatively set up a year and a half ago is still just fine. And in conjunction with that, she's also looking at, also speaking to the head of the DPW about the potential of being able to coordinate the relocation of the bicycle rack that came from the town common when they did the rework. And it's been stored out at Ridge Hill. And so there's a little bit of work with some concrete across the base of it that needs to be broken away from it so that they could pour a new base and then reinstall it in the heights. And she was just going, checking with her people to find out how, what would be the best team to be able to put together to coordinate that, and then it might happen. So those are those two things. And I'm sending out the updated requests for our sponsors, the ones that are regular sponsors. And one of the ones that's be coming up that I'll send out in June will be for the library, and because the fiscal year for the town turns over on July 1st, and so the billing is actually for 2022 July 1st forward, and so they can't pay it until we're actually into their next fiscal year. And that's the way it's always been, but that's just a heads up in terms of being able to get that donation in. I'm also speaking to the our installation company, because this year, once again, we're not doing the 4th of July. And so one of the trips that we have built into our program is a trip for putting up and taking down the 4th of July banners. And because obviously that sponsorship is not going to be paid because we can't do it, that I'm going to go back and basically work with him to be able to get a reduction in what we owe for this year to compensate for the fact that that won't happen. So that's where we're at with that. Any other questions about any of those things, or anybody else have any potential people that think who could reach out that might become either one-time sponsors or repeat sponsors? And so let me ask, let me switch over then while we're still sort of on this subject, that Marcus, do you have any updates on the potential people or organizations that we might apply for grants to?
I don't have any updates today, but I know that that application cycle, it really was like hitting at the beginning of the year, and then in the fall, I think the majority of them, of that, I think the 5 or 6 that we talked about at a couple of meetings ago that Carol and I identified, that we would try to see if there were, a couple of those that we could actually apply to for a grant. So we, can begin doing that. I think that'd probably be a good time to revisit that, since those deadlines are probably approaching. There
Great.
were a couple of good ones.
So great. So would you take a look at those and see what kind of paperwork we need to be able to apply, and what obviously whatever the criteria is for those couple of at least 1 or 2 of them, whatever you think that might give us the best shot at being able to to be in the the target zone of what they normally approve.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, and if we can do that as an update for our next meeting, that would be great, because we should probably try to get that. We certainly don't want to miss any deadlines if we have the opportunity to do that. And it's worth a shot. I mean, why not apply and see if we can get additional funds to help us do some of the projects and continue the work that we're doing, in addition to our sponsorships.
You still on?
You
This okay or not?
So next, just wanted to check in with Ashley to see what your thoughts are in terms of being able to, if you had a chance to really go into the site and connect it up during this several weeks ago, and see if there's anything that you have in terms of updates or concepts.
Yeah, so I think my plan is I'm almost ready to send out the first communication. I was going to do a test communication first to just our board members next week. So when you all receive that, I would appreciate any feedback and any ideas that you might have about how to make it look better. And then assuming that that goes all right, I'm hoping that our first communication will go out to established donors before the next board meeting.
That would be great. One of the things that Ashley and I talked about was creating a PDF giveaway, so we could start creating more opt-ins and adding more people to the list. I've added all the people that have donated to us basically since 1999, end of 1999, when they started recording the email addresses through basically as of last month. So we're starting to accumulate the email addresses. I've also been going through some of the older donations, where on the forms, sorting through the forms to see if there's people who have volunteered their email addresses when they were making the donations by check or other way, other than just the website. So I'll continue to be able to update those into the list, since those are all, people who had said they, by the fact that they gave us their email addresses that they would like to be communicated with. And of course, if anything shows up and people decide that they don't want it, they can always opt out immediately, because that's, it's stated in the bottom of every email. They have the opportunity to do that. So that's where we're at as far as that goes. And the PDF piece that I'll get back to you, Ashley, when I have that pulled together. I've got one that I had started with things that have been done in conjunction with the historical society, well, the Needham History Center, and so I think that'll give us a good foundation to be able to have something that's interesting, and basically is highlights curious and interesting things that are part of Needham's history, and places that you could, some of them where you could go and actually see some of these things.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a really great aspect of this project. One of the things that we talked about, I can't remember if we spoke about it at our last meeting, was the sort of, I don't know what to call it, Paul, the amusement park. Is it called the Baker?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Christina Lake, or Sabrina Lake, right?
Which included Sabrina Lake. Yeah, he actually created Sabrina Lake.
Right.
Yeah. I think these are things that people, will have fun reading through, and it just makes them feel more, they're part of a really interesting place called Needham. They live here, and these cool things have gone on, over decades. And I think the combination of the newsletter going out, having this PDF for the opt-in, and having the From Needham to the World project kick off all during this 2021 time, I think will create a lot of visibility for the fund, and hopefully we'll obviously would love to be able to get the Ridge Hill mural, funded, if at all possible. And I'm going to do all I can to be able to reach out to some of the potential sponsors that might be able to help with this. And if you have any people that you think would be, have a sort of a, real affinity for Ridge Hill, and, would be interested in being able to contribute to start to rally the funding for that project, we will start to develop some momentum to, to be able to do that. Because if we can fund it soon enough to not have the weather be a factor, because we have to do it when it's, above a certain temperature, and, got to have the right conditions for it. But the sooner we can work out, it's basically, just as a reminder, it's a $20,000 project. So we need to, basically if we just get it funded, we can, start the go ahead on being able to get that in process too. And how cool would it be to be able to have both From Needham to the World and the Ridge Hill project both happen in 2021. And at the same time that we're reaching out, in a way that the Revitalization Trust Fund has not done before in terms of its newsletter, and getting more people to, opt in and stay in communication with us. So, yeah, we got a lot of good things, and all of you, have been great about being able to starting to, help get these different projects off the ground, and between the images for the profiles and the newsletter happening and the grants, potential that, we've got some good stuff. So I think it's, it's probably the most simultaneous activity we've had in quite a while. So, high five to all you guys for making this happen. And, and I know in between the incredibly busy lives and the oddball things that we've been having to all deal with COVID, I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. It's a cool thing. And Carol, of course, she's always the advisor in the background. She likes to be the. I would say that she's probably my mentor. So she's been here from the beginning and has always offered me the sage wisdom as we've been continuing to move along, as well as, of course, getting us posted to the town so that we can have the meetings in a legal way. So I think that's great. And Brad had talked about some potential technology that he thinks might also be able to help us in support as we get our newsletter off the ground. So all in all, we've got cool stuff happening. Are there any other things around any things we've talked about, or does anyone have additional things that we should, that you want to bring up, or comment?
Paul, I wanted people to know about, those who don't know, on the Baker. It's called the Baker Estate, and the Needham Historical sells these booklets that are really great. It explains all about it, with pictures and all.
And I think, if I remember correctly, there is a documentary that the Needham Channel did, which I think, got to go back and ask Mark, but I think that they have a documentary that is on this
I
too.
think it came out a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
it was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
So I'm also wondering whether we could team up with them and figure out a way for people to actually do two things. One is to opt into our mailing list, and at the same time support the either. I think they did it for the History Center. So when they make the purchase would go to the History Center, and we'd get the opt-in to be able to be on the Revitalization Trust Fund list. So I'll reach out to Gloria Grice and just run that by her and see if there's a way
Right.
together to be able to do that, because how cool would that be? And I think it's and it's on a DVD, so most people can still have some device to play DVDs. There may even be a streaming version that we might be able to coordinate with. So I'll make a note to reach out to Gloria on the Baker Estate DVD and streaming with a joint, project to be able to help that. So that's cool. Any other thoughts? All righty. Amy, do you have any other things you'd like to be able to share from your view of the world?
Well, there's certainly lots going on behind the scenes at Town Hall with the governor's recent announcement that the state of emergency is going to end on June 15th. So there's a lot of activity in trying to set up the framework for sort of post-COVID world with regard to public meetings. So until you hear otherwise, consider that we'll continue to meet remotely, but I'll certainly provide guidance on that as soon as we get more clarity. And then I've been certainly working with the local restaurants and try to also get a handle on outdoor dining long-term. So town staff is working on that. It's a lot more complex than one might think. It just involves a lot of boards and a lot of regulatory types of things, but so you don't always see necessarily publicly what's going on behind the scenes, with the inner workings of town, but I can assure you that there's a lot of internal meetings that are going on to make sure that we can continue to, be communicative to the business community and support them and keep everybody on the same page as far as knowing what to expect for public meetings and such. So it's been a busy week.
Yeah. No, and I think, the two of the things that you highlighted, one is, when I saw the announcement about Governor Baker's, accelerating the time to open up everything and to release the state of emergency, since so many things that we've been allowed to do have been, tied directly to the fact that we were in a state of emergency. And, obviously it's a huge concern that all this outdoor dining, which was not permitted through the normal process, and ABCC regulations, for outdoor alcohol and enclosed space and all that. And since we're familiar with the facts, that we've worked through that process, we know how many things, can really, fall into play in terms of that what is normally a lengthy process. And, how, hoping that the town can some way get permission to be able to continue or fast track these things before we actually end up running out of time with that order. Because technically, if the order finishes, then my understanding is that the serving alcohol in these outdoor spaces basically becomes illegal again without the
So-
process for ABCC.
So we currently have 60 days past the end of the state of emergency. So it brings us through August 14th, but we're looking to certainly continue it through the end of the 2021 season, and then are looking longer term. It's sort of, again, what the framework is to allow for outdoor dining on a more permanent basis. So more to come on that, but there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes.
Great. Well, and I think it's also great that, that you're there to be able to, really connect that sensitivity and tap into the, to the people who I know are really doing everything they can to try to figure out how to negotiate this and not have us run into the problems if they can possibly be avoided. So thank you for the work that you're doing. And also being connected with with this Jersey Berry project. That's been a great help, and really hit the ground running in terms of your. It must be. Are we closing in on a little more than your first year, right?
It'll be the end of August, will be 1 year.
Yeah, I mean,
And one thing actually I also wanted to add is the storefront artwork displays. If you haven't had a chance to see them yet, the storefront windows project in conjunction with the Needham Council for Arts and Culture, the Needham High School Senior Art Project right now is in display in the former Art Emporium space at 32 Chestnut Street. And Needham Open Studios is currently at 32 Chestnut Street, the former bridal shop. So if you have a chance to walk around Needham, take a peek at some of the amazing local talent that we have. There's also a new display at the former Lisa's Boutique, which is at 1502 Highland Avenue. So we've got some great, displays of public, of artwork in vacant storefronts and infusing some new energy. So the high school art show will be up through this weekend. So there's a limited time. So get over there and check out how amazingly talented the high school students are in this town.
and where is that art show?
The art show is at the former Art Emporium space at 32 Chestnut Street. And Needham Open Studios is next door in 36 Chestnut.
My understanding is that the Art Emporium is becoming
An orthodontist office.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then one final note, and I will finish, is that we also are working on Project Pop-Up, which is bringing some pop-up shops to some of the vacant storefronts in Needham Center. So we've got three locations. We've got the former Proud Mary space. If those of you didn't know, Proud Mary actually moved into the former Pollywog space. So the former Proud Mary space at 1110 Great Plain Avenue is going to be a pop-up shop. The former Needham Vision Center space at 1020 Great Plain Ave, which is next to the new Proud Mary space. And then the bridal shop that I just mentioned at 32 Chestnut Street is also going to be a pop-up. So we haven't released details on the brands yet, are those still being finalized, but it's going to be June, July, and August. And the hope is that these temporary businesses will turn into more permanent ones to help fill the empty storefronts in Needham. And we're going to be also featuring some local artists. There was a call to artists put out. So it's going to be another opportunity for some locally talented folks to display their artwork and have it for sale as well. So stay tuned for more details, but we're working hard to try to infuse some new interest and energy in the vacant storefronts in Needham Center.
Yeah, it's great. And one of the things that will be coming to the Chapel Street, which we've talked about, but I wanted to give you an update on also is the Needham Pride banners that Rebecca Young has been coordinating that. And basically the banners have been approved, and the banners, I believe, as an email I got today, I think have been produced. And so the whole target was to be able to get them up for June 1st. And I've coordinated with her today just to make sure that we've got the banners get dropped off at the right place for the for the installation. But and we have an invoice that we'll send out to her for the $100 for the June display. So that'll help us a little bit also. But it's a cool looking banner. I saw the proof that they had approved that went off to the select board in a very fast tracked way. So and we sent it around to you guys so that all of you could comment on it and all got that process through. And thank you so much for being able to respond so quickly to get our piece of the process out of the way and onto the select board. So very soon we're going to see some really colorful banners go up, and we'll be taking down the Needham Lights banner because we'd like to get it down before we actually would put it up again in October, November. So anyway, and our hope is that Needham Lights will be able to do a whole nother thing, and I'm sure that Amy is probably has that as a background agenda for preparing for that, whatever that form will be this year also. So anyway, so that's what. Anybody else? Anything else? Other comments or last minute things? Great. Well, thank you so much. This has been great, and we'll continue to push forward and getting the sponsorships that we need and getting the projects happening. And I think we're coming into a very exciting time. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of these cool things really come out and having the public really get the experience of a lot of really things that just make people feel like it's a special place to live. You guys are all helping make that happen. So, thank you. So, so I can officially close the meeting. We need I would ask for a vote to be able to close the meeting today. And we need someone to second it. So
The next meeting is June 17th.
next meeting is June 17th. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
I think I saw Ashley raise her hand as a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Well, then the official
Aye.
meeting of the Revitalization Trust Fund is comes to conclusion. And thank you all, and have a wonderful, actually should be really warm and cool weekend. So,
Yes, and rainy
Yeah.
here.
Oh, no. Well, anyway, hopefully it's warm no matter what it is. And we'll see you all next time, same bat channel.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Paul.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.